Here we are, good afternoon in Brazil and in New York. We are here with Seyboth Wild. The origin is German, but he is Brazilian and is a new idol in Brazil since he won a tournament. He was the first player who winning a tournament so young since quite a while, since I think Rafael Nadal in 2005 in Acapulco. And he is the only player of the year 2000 who have won a tournament this year. And together with Seyboth Wild, there is also Steve Flink, my old Hall of Famer colleague, international Hall of Famer. You may know what the Hall of Fame is, Seyboth. Do you know that?
Yeah, I do.
You do, good. Okay, so first of all, congratulations for for having won one of the few tournaments that have been played this year. You're right now number 114 in the ATP rankings. You were 182 when you won it. Well, can you describe what happened then? I mean, even if you have been telling this already quite a few times. And then, okay, we start like that, all right?
Well, I got the wild card to Santiago. I think it was late Friday or even Saturday in the morning. And I had to take the first flight over there and just had a couple of days to practice, 1 or 2 days. I really didn't think I was going to win the tournament. I got there just thinking about getting back on track, playing best tennis again, just like I played in Rio. I was playing really well, and I had a schedule, a completely different schedule that I was going to follow, and I think it really surprised me in a good way. I think I grew my confidence during that week really fast, and I took the most of it. I think it all started in the first round. I started playing really well, and when I saw that the draw was a little tough because I had Christian Garin on the way, and
yes, talk about that because he had to retire, right? What happened to him in that match?
I got to know it later, but from what I heard, he had a problem with his lower back or something like that, and he was suffering from it since the end of the match with Fokina, since the end of the third set. And I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know what exactly happened there.
But you had a good first set against him, right? Do you think you were playing well?
Yeah, we were both playing really well. He had a couple set points, and in fact, he served for it. He served 5 or 6 times for the set, and I had to fight back. He was playing pretty well, of course, maybe not his best, but he was playing pretty well, and so was I.
Listen, how does it come that you speak so well English? Much better than mine.
Well, I studied a lot when I was younger. I took classes from my 6 years old to, I don't know, 14, maybe 15. So.
Always in Rio? You were studying in Rio or somewhere else?
No, I moved to Rio when I was 15. In fact, when I moved to Rio, I could study English. And it was something that my mother wanted me to learn because everyone in my family speaks a bunch of languages, and I mean, I'm grateful for them for that.
Okay, so because now it's not so common that in Brazil, where I came for the Olympic Games, there are not so many people speaking fluent English. I mean, there are some, of course, but not too many.
People in South America don't usually speak very good English. They speak really well Spanish because that's their language, or Castellano. That's what they speak. And
Portuguese.
But no, Portuguese only in Brazil. Brazil is the only Portuguese speaker, and I think people don't usually speak English. That's a question people always make me. Why do you speak English? How do you speak English? When did you learn it?
All right.
But Thiago, to go back to get back to Santiago for a moment, you had a hard-fought final with Casper Ruud. He's 38 in the world at the time. That was a good win. Talk about the importance of that match and how you were able to beat somebody as experienced as him to win an ATP 250 event.
Of course, his experience counted a lot. I was a little tight before the match. I started the match not playing very well, but I got used to the moment. I took advantage of my week. I just tried to play my best and not think that I was playing an ATP final. I had to think of it just like another match. I had to behave myself like I was playing the first round. But in fact, he started winning. I was 3-1 down, serving 15-40, and he was gonna serve 4-1 up, double breakup. I think it was a really detailed match. I think it was a really close one, and it was a pretty good fight.
Is Joao Zveč still your coach? He has a first name which sounds a lot Brazilian or Portuguese, but his last name sounds German, like almost like yours. Where is he from?
Yeah, his if I'm not mistaken, he's Italian German, something like that, because he's got another one. I'm pretty sure it's Pinuzzi. Pinuzzi, Pinnuzzi, or something like that.
All right.
If it's wrong, he's gonna kill me.
Well, of course, he is right, because you shouldn't make mistakes with Italian, especially when you talk to me. Anyway, and then, almost immediately after, you were the first player caught with COVID. I mean, what can you tell us about that experience? Was it a strong fever, a strong or not so strong? How did you find out?
Well, if you talk about symptoms, I didn't have any. I didn't have any kind of flu. I didn't have fevers. I didn't have pains in my body. I didn't have anything. So it was. Some people say I took the test in Rio, but I didn't. I took the test in my hometown, and I did it because my parents asked me to do it because of my grandparents. They're pretty old. They're around 70 something, and we needed to take care of them. So I had to take the test just for precaution, because everyone else in my family tested negative. No one else caught it. So it's a pretty curious case, and I think I didn't feel it. I would say I didn't feel it because I didn't get sick. I didn't feel any kind of pain. I didn't feel any symptoms.
But you had to stay 15 days in a sort of quarantine, no, I guess.
No, I had to stay 15 days inside my room. I didn't leave for anything.
Okay. And how is the situation?
Did you notice a big difference then as soon as you had completed the 15 days? Did you feel any different?
No. I mean, I thought I was gonna test negative. I thought I didn't get it.
Okay. Listen, and how is it the situation of the COVID in Brazil? Because we read a lot of different things. So apparently there were a lot of people dying, but I don't know what is the situation. And more than that, I have no idea if in Rio is worse than in other cities. I don't know, São Paulo or whatever.
No, I'm currently in São Paulo, but I live in Rio, and here it's a lot worse. They have a lot more cases here than in Rio. I mean, it's a lot bigger. It's almost 3 times bigger than Rio, but it's a lot worse. And I think Brazil has almost reached 50,000 deaths, around that. So the situation, it's pretty bad. It's not going down. The graphic's not going down, but I just hope they take control of it as soon as possible, because a lot of people is dying.
How do you protect yourself? Do you stay always at home, or you go out with a mask? Can you practice? Can you play tennis somewhere?
I've been practicing in the academy, where I usually train, and I've been doing it half period. I've been doing it in the morning, and it's me and another guy on the other side of the court, my coach, and that's it. Nobody else.
Okay. Well, anyway, are you somehow traumatized about this? I mean, are you shocked about what happened and what's going on, or you being young in a way, you know, you try to think about other things like, I don't know,
I mean,
music.
I'm not traumatized for myself, but obviously for other people, there's a bunch of other people losing their families, losing their loved ones, and it's really sad. It's something that really shocks everyone.
Any friends of yours have been touched?
Yeah, two of them, but they're fine.
Are
They
they,
already
are they
passed
players?
quarantine.
These are players or just friends that you know from away?
No, just friends, just
Yeah.
friends.
Okay. So now, what are your plans? I mean, because nobody really knows what to do. Are you waiting for a charter to come and pick you up? And where it would eventually come, in Sao Paulo, in Rio? Because they say that the US Open would organize that, but we don't know yet how. And are you expecting to jump on a plane, on a charter flight, I don't know, from which city? Just to start.
I really don't know. I think we would have to pick the biggest city in South America, or the closer to the most of the players, something like that. But I'm just expecting that this chaos just passes by, and we
Are
can
you
all go back
afraid?
to normal life.
Are you afraid about that or not? I mean, because many players wouldn't like really to go to New York,
No,
especially.
I really wouldn't care traveling. I mean, I already got it. The chances of getting it again are they're almost zero, and I would be fine with traveling.
In a way, you are more protected because you had it
Yeah,
already.
if you take the precautions, if you take care of yourself, and we all respect the rules, we'll be fine. We can travel. We can, if we don't go around the city, if we don't, relax about the safety manners, we'll be fine.
Yeah, if you had
So
to
you
choose.
you made a big leap in the rankings. Ubaldo referred to it earlier, but you got up to 114 in the world. That was a big win, and then you were stalled in a way, like everybody was, by the virus. So where do you see yourself going now, having made that kind of progress earlier in the year? Do you have goals on where you might finish the year if there are more tournaments?
Well, I have a bunch of points to defend at the end of the year. I have about 150 points to defend. And in my ranking, that's almost half of what I got. So I'd say I have to focus on whatever ways or whatever rules we're getting back to play, and that's not mine to decide. That's for the ATP to decide. But my job is just to prepare for whatever they have for us.
Listen, what do you know of the Brazilian tennis? Do you know something about the past Brazilian, or since your German origins, maybe you know more about the Germans, or what do you know more? I mean, do you have an idea who is Guga Kuerten, or
No, I have a good relationship with the Brazilian players. I have a good relationship with Guga, with Marcelo Melo, Bellucci, Monteiro, and I think we're all good friends. And that most of the players are practicing in the south, in where João Menezes also lives. There are Monteiro, Menezes, Meligeni, Felipe, and I think that's it. And
the,
Beatriz Maia. I think
where,
Beatriz Maia is there.
where do you practice? I mean, all in São Paulo?
No, I practice in Rio, only in Rio.
Okay.
Yeah, only in Rio with João.
Guga is so popular over there. Talk about how he may have inspired you. I know there's a big age gap, but he is almost like a god in your country. And how well have you gotten to know him, and what kind of knowledge has he been able to pass along to you? Advice.
I never really had a close relationship as a player. We never actually got to touch base about it, and I think as a player, as a person, he inspired not only me but everyone else who loves the sport in Brazil. Because not only in tennis, but in all possible other ways, he's a really nice person. He's always helped everyone who's looked up for him, and I think he's an idol for everyone and an example to be followed.
And did you hear about somebody else called Maria Esther Bueno? That was so much before
I
your
think
time
that's
that you have no idea.
that I honestly have no idea. Nobody really talks about it.
Okay, well, she won Wimbledon 3 times, as
Yeah,
far
I
as
know her title. I know her titles, but most of the people don't.
Steve, go ahead.
No, I was going to say in 4 US as well. She was a beautiful player. I think you would have enjoyed watching her. You would have found her inspiring as well. And Ubaldo and I are showing our ages because we knew her and we watched her play in her prime. So, but we were
And
lucky to do
and
that.
when Steve,
That's
when you
nice.
say that she was a beautiful player by all means, she was not only as a tennis player but also aesthetically very
Yeah, she
pretty
was.
lady.
No, beautiful woman. She was. She was.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a
Anyway,
great experience with her, Ubaldo, where I played, and I wrote about it in World Tennis Magazine, where she couldn't find somebody to play with her at a club once in New York. So I showed up to play with somebody else, and they said, Maria Bueno needs somebody right now to play with her. Can you do it? And this is in 1985, and we played, 4 tiebreakers, and I wrote about it, and she was very happy about it afterwards because at that stage she wasn't getting as much attention. But what a thrill that was for me. I split the tiebreakers, Ubaldo. She won the first 2, and I won the last 2.
well, I played
That's
there
nice.
too, but I don't want to talk too much about ourselves. I want to ask Seyboth if he thinks if he's already sort of an idol in Brazil since because of your win you are the youngest Brazilian to ever win an ATP tournament. But there was a lot of press, a lot of media behind around your winning in Santiago.
Well, I wouldn't say an idol, but I would say an inspiration for the younger players. Just like I had mine, they probably have me as an inspiration, someone to look up to. Like I used to look up to the players like Monteiro, like Bellucci. I remember when I was 12, I went to São Paulo to the Brazil Open. We don't have that anymore. I used to watch Bellucci and think, oh my God, they're so good. How am I gonna play like that one day?
Okay.
And I really hope some people look up to me like I did to them.
Yeah, and maybe you've been signing already a lot of autographs, especially to pretty women, or do you pay attention to that, or is a macho statement that I hope Charlotte will not listen to it?
Well, I don't think Charlotte would like to hear that, and neither would my girlfriend. She would probably kill me.
Okay.
You a little bit though about, because here you were winning this ATP 250, and it was a big moment for you. But you've come out of the ITF events, the challengers, the different levels of the game. How much of a difference is it to say playing the people you did in the 250 versus what you see in the challengers? Is there a big gap or not?
I think the biggest difference is it's the professionalism. They take the week and they take themselves. I think most of the players in challengers and futures, they're there just for the fun. They're just they're just fine there. They're just living their best life, traveling around the world, playing some tournaments, winning some tournaments, sometimes losing, and then going on a winning streak sometimes. And it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for them to have a week like I had in Santiago. But what makes the biggest difference is definitely the professionalism and the seriousness they take themselves.
Listen, I saw you playing at the US Open versus an Italian guy, Lorenzo
Musetti.
Musetti, yes.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, but compared to you, he didn't seem to have the same physical structure. I mean, looking at you, you were, how can I say, more strongly
Stronger.
built. Huh?
Yeah, I think in the age we were, that makes a lot of difference. He's a year or two younger than me, but he's a really talented player.
Yeah, well, he last year lost to Sinner, that you may have heard of Yannick Sinner,
Mhm.
but lost only 7-6 in the third or something like that. So he's not so far behind, even if he's not so strong yet muscularly, if I can say that.
Yeah, but if you take some of the players, I mean, I would put Goffin, I would Feher. They're not they're not like Nadal. They're not like Wawrinka. They're not like that. But they're really fast. They're still really strong. And if you take Djokovic, world number one right now, he's really thin. But if you look at him, he's built of muscles.
Yeah.
So I don't think his structure would make a difference if he's well prepared.
Okay. And which players do you like most of the top guys? Someone told me Nadal, but
Yes,
is that
definitely Nadal.
Yeah.
What-
Why that?
Yeah,
What is it about Rafa that inspires you?
I just like the way he plays. I like the passion he shows on court. And when I was younger, he was starting his career. When I started playing tennis, he was starting his career, I don't know, 2005 and 6, and he was already beating Federer, and he was already winning slams and all that stuff, and making it to the Wimbledon finals, and then winning it next year. So I think it all impressed me a lot when I was younger, and he's a guy I've always looked up to. He's
And do you
always
know
been
him? Know him now? Have you?
No, I've never chatted with him, but I've seen him a few times.
Okay. And have you chat with some other of the top guys? I mean, someone who seems more friendly to you. Which one, if you had to go out for dinner with one of the top guys, who would you go out with? Not talking about girls, huh?
All right. I would say Nadal,
Okay.
Fonini, and Federer.
All right.
Nadal, Fonini, and Federer.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good trio.
Yeah, I like them. I like them.
Listen, and so if you had to choose and play the U.S. Open or Roland Garros, and you could play only one of the two, where would you prefer to go, and where do you think you have more chances to play in the future? Because we still don't know what's going on. You know, nobody knows.
If you're talking about chances of winning the tournament, I would say the U.S. Open. But if you're talking about a place I'd rather be, Paris.
Paris. How do you
Paris.
do you like to play on clay, or?
Yeah, I like to play on clay. I like to play on clay, but I also like. I mean, I like fast conditions. If you put me like Santiago or São Paulo or high places where I can play on clay, that's perfect. But if you put me on high courts, I'd rather play on sea level and not so fast places like, I don't know, 300 meters maybe, 400.
That's why, because you have wide movements, because you need some time to hit the forehand, or how can you describe your game? I mean, you anticipate?
No, actually, I like to play flatter. I like to play flatter and not with much topspin. I really don't like those people who just keep grinding and playing 5 feet behind the line. That's really annoying. That's really annoying. That's the thing.
For us too. For us too.
Yeah, I bet. And I like to play. I like to play close to the baseline and take control of the points.
Well, still, when you went to play in, you decided after Australia to go on all South American circuit. No, you played in Punta del Este. You played in, of course, in Rio, then Santiago. So you had decided to concentrate on Cordoba before. You know, you had decided to concentrate on the.
Cordoba it's pretty high. It's exactly the conditions I like. It's a fast clay court.
Okay. Steve.
No, I was going to say, you know, for someone who's 20, you're very mature, and you have a remarkable amount of experience going back to those ITF Futures and Challengers and working your way up. Don't you feel that you have gained a lot of experience in these last 3 years that's put you in this position that maybe you're ahead of a lot of other 20-year-olds in that sense?
I'd say that the maturity you get playing the tournament, it depends only on you. It's about what you do. It's about your routines. It's about the way you take yourself. Like I said before, the professionalism you take yourself makes a difference when you're playing challengers and ATPs. And I would say, just like every other kid, when I was younger, I like it to go out, to have my time and all that stuff, to have friends. Sometimes, I'm not going to go practice that early because I'm going out with my friends. I'm not going to dedicate myself so much this week because it's my birthday or something like that. That's something I never did. I always had my priorities pretty clear for myself, and I never quit practice because I wanted to party. I never quit practice because I had something else to do. So it's really something I've always had as number one, being mature enough to put my priorities first.
So how do we explain the fact that in your CV, which I read on the new in the ATP stories, they say that you call yourself a fearless person, but also a bit lazy. So I mean, what you're saying seems that you're not that lazy. I mean, if you're
being lazy and not working are very different things. Being
okay.
lazy and not doing what you gotta do are very different things. Sometimes I really think about staying in bed. Sometimes I really think about, oh, that's not gonna make a difference. But then 5 minutes later, I'm up and I'm ready to do whatever I have to do.
Okay. Good. Well, I hope so. Well, just tell me a few things about Sinner. Have you seen him playing since he's more or less your age? I mean, he's also a year 2000 and he's number 73 in the world. And well, I'd like to know what is your opinion about him if you have seen him play.
Yeah, I saw him play a few times, not much, but I saw him play a few times. Just like I said about Musetti, he's very talented. He's very talented, and like I said before, he's really thin, even thinner than Musetti. So that's something he's worked with. He's got a really good serve. He's got really powerful ground strokes, a really good net game, and he's quick. He's very fast. He moves really well on the court. So I think he's a really complete player, and we're gonna be listening a lot from him in the future.
What is your goal now this year? Because you right now you are in the position to play the in Milano at the end of the year, the next gen ATP. But that I never understand if it's really a goal for a player. What is more important for you is, I don't know, to get in the top 100, top 50?
Yeah, my goal would be, it really depends on when we get back. But my first goal would be to finish the year in the top 100 and obviously play the ATP Next Gen Finals.
Okay. And if you had to dream about a possible important win, where would you like to win? Many players say Wimbledon, other players say, yeah. And which would be the player you would like to beat in the final?
Rafael Nadal in French Open.
well, easy, come on. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty easy. Many people have done it before. Many people have done it before.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think you're the first person who's ever had the courage to say something like that, because Nadal was supposed to be invincible in Paris. But it's a great goal. Good for you.
I mean, being the first is always good, isn't it?
Of course.
Well, I mean, when you dream, you must dream big. What is the point to dream little?
What's the point of dreaming about winning a challenger when you have already done it?
Yeah,
that's true. That's
correct. Listen, tell me only a little bit about your technique, because I haven't seen you playing so much. I remember you with Musetti, but that was already more than 1 year ago. So so tell me what you like best. I mean, the double hand, backhand, whatever.
I really like my forehand and my serve. Those are the two ground strokes I really love. And I'd say my forehand really controls the match and really controls my game. I like the backhand down the line. And
drop shots?
Anywhere. I do hit pretty good drop shots, but I don't usually use them.
So you don't do you think you have the touch of the artistry or not?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But my backhand side's better.
Okay.
And what about approaching the net? Is that something you'd like to work on, or you'd like to start coming in more, or is that not necessarily true?
No, yeah, that's something I've been working on, and I think I'm improving pretty well.
Well, the other day I spoke with a coach, a famous coach who has been coaching many players, and he said he could remember that Novak Djokovic was able to play chess when he was 10 or 11 years old. And to play chess, he was mentioning that because he's saying strategy is important in tennis. And some players, they say, oh, I just play my game. While it's very often very important to know also the others, the opponent's game, even if you have to play the best of your game. Do you study the others? I mean, do you like tactic? Do you like strategy? I just want to mention one thing. I was writing yesterday about Mats Wilander winning the US Open in 1988. The year before, he had lost to Lendl. The following year, in 1988, he went to the net 131 times, and he did 67 serve and volley. And he was a player that in all his life before, he was almost never going to the net. So I'd like to know if you like this part of the game or not.
Yeah, I do like, and just for the record, I also play chess. I think every tennis player should play chess because it makes you think about your next move. It makes you think about your opponent's next move. It makes you think about the game as a whole. So,
So you're a good prospect.
I do like the strategy part. I do like thinking about my opponent, and it's usually my coach's job to do it. He does it first, shows me whatever I've got to do, and then we decide about how I'm gonna play, how I'm gonna move in the court, and what shots are gonna be better to use.
And do you go on YouTube to scout your opponents, or do you let your coach do that? Is it helpful to see film of them and to figure out what they're doing on the court?
He's really bad with technology, so I usually use YouTube or the or the match live stream.
Okay. But so you will scout them that way, though.
No, I showed him the match, and he does that. I just find whatever he wants online, and he does that. Most of the times we do that together, but I just listen.
Listen, what do you think about the Davis Cup? Was it important in your dreams when you were younger, or you weren't really paying attention too much to it?
I've talked about it a few times before, and my opinion is not going to change. I think that the old Davis Cup format was a lot better. Playing Davis Cup is something most of the kids my age wanted to do, and that's not possible anymore. It became a normal tournament, a 1 week tournament that people just play once in a while, and that just happens 2 or 3 times a year. So I think that the old format's a lot nicer to the tournament. It gives it a lot more visibility, and I mean, having to change your calendar, having to change your schedule just because you want to defend your country is something really nice to do for your country, because sometimes you don't get that much support from the federation, or sometimes you don't get that much support from your country's fans. But that doesn't really matter because that's where you're from, so you should also fight for it.
Sure. And you feel 100% Brazilian, even in spite of your German origins or your parents. I don't know. What your parents were doing? Why did you approach tennis? I mean, they were playing tennis too, or?
My dad was a player. I really don't know his ranking, or if he had a ranking, or the tournaments he played. People ask me about it, and I don't know. But
where was he playing? Was he playing in Brazil or somewhere else?
In Europe. He used to live in France. He used to live in Nice, or Lille, Nice or Lille, or between those. And my parents really didn't want me to go pro. They didn't want me to be a professional tennis player, because my dad knew what it took, and he wanted me to have a normal life. And I think it was for me to decide what I wanted, and they always supported me. But my dad put me into tennis, and he always supported me on whatever I wanted to do.
So there's some real benefits there. That's not very unusual. Often it's the parents who are driving the kids and pushing them hard, and they're the ones that insisting the kids play. And for you, it wasn't that way. So you must have a very good relationship with your father concerning your tennis.
Yeah, I do. We do have a good relationship, and they never pushed me into anything. I mean, once I decided I wanted to play tennis, they obviously regulated a lot of things that I shouldn't do, a lot of things that I should do, how I was supposed to eat, to train, to practice, to study, and I think it was a really nice way to be raised.
But are they coming to watch you playing or not? I mean, do they?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do.
Were they in Santiago when you won the tournament?
No,
or? No.
They were in Rio. They were in Rio.
Okay, so will they come to go to U.S. Open if you go there? You think, or they will not?
Yeah, they are. They probably are.
All right. Okay, listen, Steve, I think we took already quite a few minutes extra.
We did. We're going to get a point penalty, so we better stop now. time warning, Mr. Flink. Yeah.
Listen, so, well, just tell me if there is any rule that you would like to change in tennis, or you would like to leave it as it is. Because you know the next gen, you know also that now Muratoglu is changing everything in his tennis ultimate tennis show, and what do you think?
I actually like the classic tennis 5 minutes warm up without the shot clock, because I always get the time violation. It's,
oh really? Like Nadal?
Yeah, I always get it. I'm always late, and I really like the classic rules. I don't like that unlimited challenge they had in the Davis Cup and Rio, and I think the classic rules are fine.
Okay, listen, thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks to you. Thanks. We wish you the best for your career. You are just starting in a way, and we hope to meet you soon after a win, but I hope you will come to a press conference smiling also after a defeat, which is much more difficult. But those players who have the personality to come and be capable to smile even after a loss, they usually are better human persons.
Okay, it was a pleasure.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, we enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope you didn't get too bored with these old two people, especially Steve Flink, who is much older than me, as you know.
Not at all.